Mist rises from the paddies like breath from a sleeping dragon. And in that hour when bamboo leans in to listen to its own creaking, a small red rectangle wakes in a warrior's sleeve. He has already bowed to the sword on its rack, already tied his headcloth with the exactness of a signature. He was prepared to practice the cut that is a line and the bow that is a circle. Instead, a glow spills through his fingers. It does not flicker like a lantern or gossip like fireflies. It is a door pretending to be a hand mirror. He lifts it as if it might have weight in the soul. The symbol upon it is an arrow that looks like the idea of forward. The message is simple and audacious as a rooster. Upload your video. He is a retainer of Lord Keichierv, a daimyo whose garden is a slow thought raked into stones. For years, this warrior has been given orders that are nouns, border, patrol, envoy, and verbs that are weather, wait, hold, cut. Today, the verb on the glowing slab is a dare. He has spent a lifetime learning to compress oceans into teacups, grief into syllables, violence into quiet geometry. He knows how to move without noise and speak in sentences that never show their teeth. He has never been asked to show anything to everyone. The slab suggests it is time. He bows without meaning to, then laughs because he has bowed to a painting before, and to a shadow. So why not to a little red room that says anyone may see? The first film is simple. A kata learned before his voice broke. The pattern of stepping and cutting that writes his name into air every dawn. He chooses a corner of the dojo where light filters through rice paper softly, a kindness for edges. He props the slab on a folded sash and bows to an audience of none. Already more nervous than before a duel, he begins. The sword moves the way a river remembers its childhood. Breath times itself to blade. The blade draws lines where gravity had gotten lazy. When he finishes, his hands feel hot. The way you feel after saying something you meant entirely. He taps the arrow. The film leaves him like a crane startled into sky. Across the compound, a boy delivering miso hears a whisper where no mouth opens. He leans behind a storehouse and finds a screen staring back at him like a patient ghost. The same kata plays, the same steps, the same breath. The boy's lips move. He learns one cut by watching hands he has never held. He repeats until sweat writes a letter down his spine. When the film ends, another offers itself. Top 5 ways to sheath without shame. Then a tea master, hands like patient birds, whispers the laws of water. Then a poet writing with a brush so big the paper flinches. The boy will be late with the miso today. He will not be punished because the house has discovered the same room he has. By noon, the sound of sandals on gravel has changed. People are walking with their eyes pulled forward by something that isn't visible. A groom stands dumbfounded while a horse tries to teach him how to be present by stepping on his foot. A monk in the temple bell tower ignores a gong long enough for time to misunderstand its own schedule. The air fills with a new rhythm. 1,000 small gasps that happen in different throats to the same burst of music that announces, with the confidence of drums, that you have entered the place where the next thing is always ready. The first day belongs to swords and to the men who turn them into verbs. The warrior's clip reaches villages he has only ridden through. Boys copy his stance using branches and lies. Girls in fields watch secretly and laugh openly when they discover their shoulders can make a room of fear smaller. An old soldier with hands like knotted rope posts a response. You forgot the part where the wind says no. He shows the correction and bows at the end as if the camera were an elder he owes rice. Comments appear like sparrows on a line. Some nod, some peck. Some remember to be kind. The second day belongs to tea. A channel appears from a quiet house near the temple gate. Its banner is a kettle like a moon, and the only words on the page are, water at the edge of remembering fire. The tea master speaks low and slow, the way you speak to horses and the newly born. She shows a bowl, and then shows less. The steam, the sound of water not yet boiling. The pause when the hand learns to move at the speed of respect. The video is titled Pouring, which is like calling a mountain standing or a sword answer. Thousands watch it and at least 100 understand. 2 men argue in comments about whether the bowl should have been turned clockwise. The tea master replies with a picture of a persimmon cut in half. No words. They stop arguing because they are suddenly hungry and wise enough to be embarrassed. Poets swarm in after that, not like bees, though they will claim that, but like rain deciding it has had enough of elsewhere. A page posts a brush stroking down, then across, then lifting as if surprised by itself. The poem reads Pine, then Wind and Pine. Someone types it wrong in the title and is forgiven by everyone but 2 other poets who are not currently writing, and therefore need to correct something. A haiku channel uploads 17-syllable slices of weather with flutes and long silences between them. One reads, My uncle's armor. Remembered his brother's name before I could speak. The top comment is a Ronin saying, Same. Ronin arrive like thirsty dogs and become wolves disguised as bards. A man with a straw hat and no family crest sets the slab against a rock. He tells, in a voice that once laughed easily and now is careful with laughter, the story of the night his lord asked him to burn a village of people whose only crime was being between two maps. He says he argued. He says he obeyed. He says he left in the morning before the ash learned new names for grief. The thumbnail for his channel is not his face, but the river he sleeps beside. He calls the channel After. It grows like mold in a humid season. Inevitable, slightly alarming, very honest. Another ex-retainer duets him. Same rock, different sins. A monk comments with a single circle drawn very slowly. The Ronin pins it. Merchants are quicker than ministers. A swordsmith with a shop that smells like thunder-wearing shoes goes live from a forge. He wears a headband that used to be white. He explains in the rhythm of a hammer why steel is a conversation between ore and three kinds of air. He holds a sword to the camera, and for a moment, the whole city leans toward it, as if warmth could cross the space between symbols. He posts a link to a waiting list. 3 years, maybe 4. In the market the next day, however, stalls appear with blades that look like his but think like spoons. Their channels shout louder. They promise overnight shipping across provinces. Comments complain that the balance is off. Replies from the stalls say, "You are holding it wrong." The forge master posts a quiet video of balance, his hand open, a sword sleeping on it like a tamed eel. The market forgets how to be embarrassed. The shogun's court develops a new disease. Subscribers. Daimyo with gardens like polite storms discover that numbers as cruel as taxes now sit next to their names in the public square. They hire scribes with quick eyes to title their decrees like entertainment. Announcement. Borders moving. Must watch. They film processions from above so their banners look like they know choreography. They hold feasts with candles that make better bokeh. They do not know the word bokeh, so they call it soft light that forgives cheekbones. And their poets pretend that is a quote from a famous poet who has not yet been born. The shogun tries sincerity. He posts a 3-minute address shot in a room so quiet even his armor flinches. He talks about harvests and roads with the soft gravity of a man who knows what rice costs in blood. The comments are mostly coins of respect. Then someone uploads a cut where the sentences are moved around so that he appears to invite pirates to dinner. For 2 days, boats are searched at random. A minister tweets a correction. A puppeteer stages a satire. Everyone learns a new vocabulary word. Context. Temples join with the reluctant grace of old trees agreeing to be measured. The abbot in saffron starts a series called Bells, each video one strike and a story. He tells of a boy who lied well enough to buy comfort and poorly enough to buy shame, and how the bell forgave him by announcing the time anyway. A sect in the hills declares that monetization is greed in a looser robe. A nun says, politely but firmly, that pennies do not disagree with heaven so long as they are not worshipped. She shows a video of rice being counted into bowls for widows. The bowl counts out loud with a wooden voice. The sect in the hills disables comments on that video. Villagers adapt faster than cities. A midwife with hands that have coaxed more babies into afternoons than most samurai have coaxed apologies makes a channel called Breathing. It is exactly that. She sits cross-legged and teaches men who think they already know how to breathe what breathing feels like when you are closing a wound or an evening. In the comments, an archer writes, "I never hit a target before I learned this." The midwife replies with a heart drawn with a brush, which looks like a peach, and therefore like luck. A noodle maker films a bowl in winter. Steam lifts like a sermon that did not know it was a sermon. He says nothing and then he says one thing. "This is how you fix a day." Millions nod in several dialects. A general shares the video with his men before a march. He writes, "Watch this, and then remember we do not get this today." Morale drops and then hardens into a gratitude shaped like iron. The general deletes the post and writes another. After. The warrior who first uploaded the kata becomes a person who does not own himself. He wakes to messages shaped like admirations and like demands. He receives letters from boys who His channel grows arms he did not know he had. A series on footwork with names like Rain on Tile and Sparrow in Mud. A playlist of mistakes kept public because he is no use to anyone if he lies. A collaboration with the Tea Master where he fails to pour without showing his impatience to the bowl. The comments love him more when he is bad at something. This is the first time he has been rewarded for ineptitude. He is grateful and also sick to his stomach. He posts less the next week and feels like he has left a gate unlatched. He is invited to a dojo in a rival province. They ask him to critique their kata on camera. He arrives and the room is a little theater now. Lanterns hung like compliments. A red carpet made of someone's good kimono deconstructed into a path. He bows and then does the thing that has made him beloved and hated. He is honest. He says the third cut pretends to be the first, and the step that saves your back is missing a breath. He shows a child's version first, and they are humiliated. He shows the grown version, and they understand. The comments fill with emojis and gratitude, and also with people predicting war between teachers who are actually having tea across the room. He disables monetization and the hate slows down. He enables it, buys a new roof for the dojo, and the hate returns correctly priced. A new genre emerges that would make the ancestors laugh and then ask for a second helping. Mukbang, but with monks. Silent men in gray robes eat rice with the intensity of a siege. The title says nothing boastful, just breakfast. It gets 1 million views because chewing is the most honest sound in a dishonest world. A swordsman comments, "This is how I want to lose a duel," peacefully to a bowl of rice. The top reply says, "Come to the monastery. We will defeat you daily." Children learn letters from channels that draw them with animals. The letter for river wears fish. The letter for tree has birds tucked into its corners. A grandmother who cannot read learns to write her name so she can subscribe to her grandson's channel about carpentry. She comments, "I am late to your life, but I am here." And it is the most devastating thing on the internet that day, and also the most ordinary, which is why it is holy. The sword world begins to rot at the edges, as all gardens do when too many feet enter for the smell of flowers and not the work. Challenges appear. Cutting a summer cucumber into exactly 100 slices without moving the base. Slicing water poured from a ladle into 2 streams without telling gravity. Parrying insults with 17 varieties of bow. Some of this is beautiful practice disguised as play. Some of it is play disguised as grief. A boy dies trying to replicate a master's trick with a rope and a roof. The master posts a video with his sword laid on the floor, the camera staring like a disciplined student. He says, "I showed you a flower and you ran into a thorn bush." He turns comments off. The next day, he turns them on again and answers every complaint with the same sentence. "You are more important than a clip." Lords discover merch. A daimyo launches a line of crested headbands and tea bowls with slogans that would have embarrassed a poet last century. The shogun's shop sells paperweights shaped like his most famous decree. Followers love owning history. Villagers love selling it back. Counterfeit shops innovate faster than legitimate ones. A crest appears incorrectly reversed and goes viral because being wrong is easier to see than being precise. A calligrapher with wrists like reeds starts a channel called Right Side Up. It becomes a school. Students send pictures of crests corrected and shame eddies into competence. The warrior's live streams begin to smell like battles. He never says yes to dueling for clicks. He says yes to teaching, to answering questions with sweat. But at the end of a session, a man in black, whose anonymity looks expensive, steps into frame and bows. He asks for a single exchange at half speed to show a principle. They dance like thunder, pretending to be etiquette. At the end, the warrior's sleeve is cut, and people in provinces with no rain feel a breeze. The comments lose their minds with respect and with betting lines. Sponsors write at midnight. The warrior laughs into a cup because laughter is lighter than saying, "I am terrified of being loved by strangers who only paid for the part of me that is a blade." In the villages, YouTube replaces the fire pit without replacing fire. People still gather. But now the storyteller is sometimes a boy who learned the stances from the warrior's channel and is teaching his grandmother to stand like a willow instead of like a fence. A midwife's breathing class and a tea pour and a mukbang run back to back while carpenters argue about chisels in the comments. The local priest, who once worried that this new window would turn everyone inward, notices how often neighbors lean toward a screen together and remembers that windows can be doors if you are stubborn and kind. A rumor travels faster than tea cools. The shogun will host an annual festival of creators. The name makes poets gag, creators, as if rice were not already something, as if rain had not been making a channel called river for generations. But the invitations drop like plum blossoms, and everyone forgives the word for the excuse to see each other. The warrior receives one, the tea master receives 5 and gives 4 away. The ronin writes that he declines because crowds remind him of a mistake he's been trying to outbreathe for years. He attends anyway, and stands at the edge and listens like a shrine. At the festival, tents glow like patient lanterns along a path shaped like a question mark. In one tent, a monk teaches 10,000 people how to clap once. In another, a swordsmith lets a child lift a dull blade and see her face in it, without deciding anything about her future. On a stage in the central courtyard, the warrior demonstrates a kata, and then, scandalously, asks the audience to do it with him. The lawn becomes a field of moving commas. A noblewoman in hair shaped like a rumor laughs and tries and fails and bows as if she had bowed well. The warrior bows back as if she had taught him something. He uploads nothing. Someone else uploads everything. He watches that version later with the astonishment of a man witnessing his own heart from a window across the street. At midnight after the festival, a small fight storms through the alleys like rain thrown by children. Two channels that fed each other become mouths that bite. Accusations bloom in thumbnails. Exposed truth. This ends now. The warrior feels a chill that has nothing to do with weather. He walks to the temple and finds the bell unguarded. He strikes it once and waits long enough to hear the second bell that turns inside his ribs. He returns home and uploads a video called A Bow. It is 3 minutes of him bowing to the camera, to the dojo floor, to the sword, to a picture of his mother, to the door. The description reads, "Sometimes the only content is learning to be content with less than content." The video is shared more than anything he has ever taught. A boy writes underneath, "I tried this and my father stopped shouting. Then the power fails, not metaphorically. Corners of maps go dark. Towers that grew like bamboo forgotten by farmers stop humming. The red room says buffering, and then it says nothing. Wind fills the space like water when a boat leaks. Men who thought they had made a home inside a window discover they owned only the curtain. For a day there is panic. For 2 there is grief. For 3 there is a hush that smells like cedar and embarrassment. On the 4th, the warrior sweeps the dojo and hears bristles telling the floor a story that only floors remember. He lights a candle and writes down the kata in brush strokes, so big they almost look like a child's laughter. He nails the paper to the gate. Passers-by stop, bow, practice, bow, continue. A new channel resurfaces. Outdoors. By the time the towers wake and the bird song of notifications lifts its noise again, something has shifted in bones that do not post. People upload slower, like men leaving a bath. A poem that would have been delivered in 17 cuts and 3 thumbnails now arrives as an image of the poem itself. Brush and mistakes and all. A tea video has the sound of birds because no one turned off the world. A mukbang monk eats peaches and says with his mouth full, "Peaches only last a season." You do not. Everyone saves the video and then goes to market. The warrior's next film is not a kata. He sits and talks to the lens like a friend who needed you more than you realized. He says he will still teach, and he will also sometimes be quiet. He says, if he dies tomorrow, let this be the last lesson. Pour tea for your enemy once. He says, honor is not a number someone else gives you. It is the pressure in your own chest when you set something down without needing to be seen. He says, subscribe if you like, and also look out a window. The comments are a field of men and women standing up from their desks. Some make tea for neighbors they have only glared at. Some knock on their own doors from the inside. In the far-off future where archaeologists in soft shoes and hard hats brush dust off painted wood, they will find in a farmhouse a mural of a rectangle with an arrow, and men with swords making commas in the air. They will debate whether it is a shrine to a river goddess or a ledger of grain. Someone will say quietly, it is a story about people showing other people how they do the thing that kept them alive. They will write a paper with footnotes longer than the story because that is how they honor and ruin everything. Somewhere, in a dojo that never quite decided whether to be famous, a faded sheet of paper nailed to a gate will still show a kata big enough to teach a child and small enough to fit. Night returns to the paddies like ink poured into a map. Bamboo confers with crickets. The warrior lays his phone on folded cloth, as if tucking a bird into a nest. He bows to the sword and to the dark and to the door. Tomorrow will be a day of cutting and teaching and not forgetting to sweep. And perhaps, if wind is kind, a video about rain. The arrow on the small red room waits without hunger. The world outside the window does not wait. It moves. He breathes in the time of his ancestors, and out in the time of the next thing. Somewhere, in a house he will never enter, a boy whispers the names of cuts to a sister who is braver than him. Somewhere, a tea master pours water just before it boils and hears. Across 3 courtyards and against 2 centuries, a kettle answer yes. The dawn after the festival is louder than most, though no bells are struck. 1,000 screens hum their morning songs, and comments flood like monsoon water when gutters have grown complacent. The warrior who first uploaded a kata is now no longer a man, but a vessel. His own footsteps follow him, posted by others before he takes them. He bows in his dojo and hears the echo in provinces he has never crossed. When he eats rice, 3 painters sketch the bowl before he finishes the first bite. Fame has landed, and it squats heavy on his shoulders like an ill-fitted set of armor. Subscribers are the new crests. Families once measured by rice taxes now measure themselves by numbers displayed in bright boxes. A daimyo known for gardens that whisper patience becomes obsessed with thumbnails. He demands his gardeners shape trees not into metaphors for endurance, but into click-worthy shapes. His pond, once an exercise in humility, now glitters with koi arranged to spell his channel name when viewed from above. He hires a painter to capture the arrangement for the banner art. The painter, who has drawn only sutras and sorrow before, weeps at how quickly beauty bends for algorithms. Ronin, who used to wander with only hunger and regret. Find the bird's cousin, a red platform hungrier than any lord, willing to listen. They speak into the lens about betrayal, failed loyalties, and the price of sleeping under a sky with no address. One records a day in the life of a Ronin, and films himself begging for noodles, fixing a child's kite, then practicing with a sword that glints like shame in the sun. It goes viral. His subscriber count leaps past that of a daimyo's son, who uploaded a 40-minute lecture on military formations. The son sulks. The Ronin buys sandals that do not leak, and thanks his audience for supporting independent wandering. New genres bloom like mold where rice was stored poorly. Sword reaction videos become an epidemic. Young samurai watch legendary duels, gasping and commenting in overexcited tones. "Oh, look at that cut! Bro, that angle was crisp. Replay that footwork." They draw circles on the screen as if annotating scripture. Veterans shake their heads. "In my day," one mutters, "we reacted with a bow and a scar." Still, the numbers climb and honor adjusts itself to statistics. Daimyos weaponize YouTube as propaganda. One produces a series called Life in Our Province, showing peasants smiling as if rice grew without sweat. The comments from outsiders are full of admiration. The comments from within his own walls are full of careful silence. A rival daimyo uploads a rebuttal. Life in Our Province, uncut. It shows cracked feet, empty bowls, and laughter that sounds more like survival than joy. It is demonetized for excessive suffering. Villagers copy the footage and re-upload in fragments. The shogun sighs and tells his advisors that the war of swords is easier than the war of narratives. The shogun himself appears live one evening. The title reads, "Decree, watch now." Tens of thousands log in. He sits perfectly centered, his armor a mountain disguised as a man. His voice is calm as stone rain. Taxes adjusted, borders shifted, peace declared where there is none. The chat scrolls too fast to read. Some type prayers, some type insults, some spam the comment section with drawings of cats. The shogun ends with a bow. Within hours, someone edits the footage so that he seems to say, "I resign." It trends worldwide before a minister can correct it. 3 provinces celebrate for 2 days before admitting their error. Poets find strange fame in this noisy market. A channel called Ink ASMR uploads videos of brushstrokes in silence, the microphone close enough to hear the paper breathing under ink. Viewers describe tingles down their spines. Another poet films himself reciting haiku while snow falls, his breath making punctuation clouds. He becomes a star, but only in winter. In summer, people unsubscribe. He calls this seasonal audience karma. He drinks sake and shrugs. Merchants thrive most. A man sells authentic samurai experience boxes. A rented kimono, a wooden sword, a guidebook titled "Become a Warrior in 30 Minutes. He advertises with unboxing videos. Influencers slice the packaging with dramatic flair. Inside, the robe rips easily, the sword splinters, the guidebook is misprinted. Reviews are terrible, but curiosity sells, and the merchant retires in 2 years wealthier than half the court scribes combined. In his farewell video, he says, "Apologies for nothing." Merch is the real battlefield. Dueling itself changes. It becomes entertainment as much as necessity. Samurai schedule battles with thumbnails. Live. 2 masters settle decade-old feud. Crowds gather not just in courtyards, but in digital rooms. Bets are placed. Sponsors flash logos on banners. A sake brewer, a rice seller, a smithy. During one fight, a warrior pauses mid-swing to say, "This duel is brought to you by Kikusake, smooth as your final breath." His opponent nods solemnly, then tries to stab him. The sponsor sells out within the week. Subscriber counts become part of introductions. "I am Takeda Haru, retainer of Lord So-and-so. Subscriber count 42,000. Children bow deeper to masters with high numbers, no matter their real skill. One elderly swordsman refuses to upload. His students secretly film him teaching. The video goes viral. Grumpy old master destroys arrogant novice. The master becomes famous against his will. He sighs, sips tea, and mutters, "So this is immortality." Comment sections evolve into battlefields. Rival clans flood each other's videos with dislikes. Samurai trained in rhetoric duel in comments more fiercely than in courtyards. Insults are sharpened, apologies forged, subtweets posted as riddles. "A bamboo bends but a willow breaks," reads one cryptic post. 3 provinces assume war has been declared. They mobilize. The poster clarifies, I was talking about gardening. Troops stand down reluctantly, but not before 3 bridges are burned and 1 goat stolen. Ronin realize collaborations are currency. They host talk shows in roadside inns, conversations with the masterless. Guests include disgraced generals, wandering monks, and farmers with stories sharper than swords. One episode features a thief who explains how to pickpocket without dishonor. The video is removed, then re-uploaded 10 times by fans. The thief gains subscribers, then opens a school. Students flock. Crime rates rise, but so does self-awareness. A constable shrugs. At least they are learning honestly. The warrior who began it all feels himself pulled like cloth between hands. His kata videos are still respected, but comments beg for drama, for opinions, for scandal. He refuses. Instead, he uploads a silent clip. Just him sweeping the dojo floor. Dust dances in light beams. The caption reads, "This is also training." To his surprise, it goes viral. Thousands copy him, sweeping floors in silence. The trend is called Dojo Clean Challenge. Merchants sell special brooms. A broomsmith becomes rich. The warrior smiles, then frowns because somehow even silence has become noisy. Meanwhile, lords grow restless. They once measured power in armies. Now they compare analytics. A daimyo loses prestige not because of a lost battle, but because his channel stagnates at 20,000 subscribers, while his neighbor surges past 1 million with mukbang videos of lavish feasts. Councils debate whether to invest in soldiers or content creators. Some decide both. A campaign is fought not on fields but on feeds, with rival clans uploading rival propaganda daily. The battles are fought with editing software sharper than steel. The shogun calls a council. He demands rules for this new theater of war. His advisors propose subscriber taxes, comment moderation decrees, and mandatory ad revenue sharing with the treasury. Merchants lobby against it. Ronin protests by live-streaming hunger strikes. Monks release a video titled, "Silence Cannot Be Monetized." It trends for a week, then fades under cat videos. The shogun sighs. He longs for the days when power was as simple as who had the sharper sword and the stronger rice stores. Now it is who has the better thumbnails. And in the villages, far from courts and noise, peasants use YouTube for simpler things. A farmer uploads a tutorial on fixing a plow with rope. It saves 5 lives that winter. A mother sings lullabies to the lens so her son, away on campaign, can hear her voice. A boy films his grandfather telling a story by the fire. It gets 10 views, none from strangers. They are the most honest views in the empire. The boy grows up believing that legacy is not measured in millions, but in the handful who listen with both ears. The warrior sweeps again, uploads again, bows again. He watches his subscriber count climb like ivy up a wall he never meant to build. He wonders if one day the wall will cover his house entirely. He wonders if legacy is still his, or if it now belongs to the red arrow that eats time. He does not know. He sharpens his sword. He sharpens his silence. He prepares for tomorrow, which may demand another kata or another confession. The court of the shogun has never been quiet, but now its noise is stranger. Where once the scrape of armor and the whisper of courtiers filled the painted halls, now it is the murmuring glow of screens that lights lacquered walls with restless color. Ministers who once drafted decrees with brush and patience now argue over analytics and audience retention. A daimyo bows lower if his last upload flopped, no matter how many acres of rice he owns. Honor has a new face, and it looks like a subscriber graph. Daimyos turn their castles into studios. Courtyards that echoed with training swords now glitter with lamps arranged for perfect lighting. Tatami rooms are dressed with banners that say things like, "Subscribe to Clan Takeda," painted in elegant calligraphy. Courtiers, once measured by their ability to recite poetry or execute diplomacy, now compete to design thumbnails with exaggerated faces and bold characters. "You won't believe this duel." A servant whispers that the thumbnail dishonors the samurai code. He is ignored. The video trends. The shogun frowns and takes notes. Politics itself grows theatrical. Instead of dispatching envoys to negotiate peace, lords stage collab videos where they drink tea together on camera, pretending alliances are as easy as pouring water. One clan fakes reconciliation with another through a scripted sketch. The actors bow and smile while armies continue to posture on the border. Villagers in the provinces believe peace has come because the video says so. War becomes branding, and branding becomes diplomacy. Blood is still spilled, but now it is edited, captioned, and monetized. The shogun experiments with live streaming decrees. The first attempt is grand, a camera positioned in front of the golden screens. The shogun seated like a mountain of steel, his voice slow and heavy. "Hear this," he intones, "from Edo, the will of the shogunate." Tens of thousands watch. The chat scrolls too fast to follow. Some type prayers, some type slander. Others fill the feed with drawings of rice bowls and cats. A minister suggests disabling comments, but the shogun insists, even noise is testimony. Later, someone edits the stream, so it looks as though he promised to lower rice taxes. Riots break out in joy and despair. The shogun learns quickly that speaking into a camera is not the same as speaking into a hall. The warrior who began this spiral with his kata feels pulled into its vortex. His dojo becomes a destination for pilgrims with cameras. Young swordsmen eager to appear in the background of his uploads. His quiet lessons are interrupted by courtiers requesting endorsements for their clan's channels. Say this phrase, one demands, just once. Clan Wasugi trains with honor. He refuses. They leave angry, upload a video titled, "Famous Master Exposed, Won't Endorse Honor." It garners more views than his last kata. He bows to his own shadow, wondering if he has lost the duel he never agreed to fight. Poets adapt with reluctant grace. Where once they composed verses for scrolls and private courtyards, now they release videos of themselves writing in silence. The sound of brush against paper amplified into an intimacy. A channel called Ink Flows gains hundreds of thousands of followers for its slow videos of kanji blooming across white paper. Others experiment with poetic story times, where verses are overlaid with dramatic reenactments. Actors playing out tragedies written long ago. Some poets become stars. Others retreat, muttering that poetry loses its dignity when accompanied by jingles. Ronin flourish as storytellers. They build channels around their broken loyalties and wandering lives. Confessions of the Masterless becomes a popular series where Ronin recount betrayals, duels gone wrong, and lords unworthy of service. Viewers eat it up like festival dumplings. Some Ronin gain more influence as YouTubers than they ever had as retainers. Their words destabilize lords. Armies falter when soldiers unsubscribe from loyalty. A daimyo, furious at one Ronin's accusations, sends assassins. The Ronin films the attempt, titles it, "I Almost Died, Story Time," and gains 1 million new followers. The daimyo weeps in private at the failure of both steel and silence. Merchants pivot hardest and fastest. Swordsmiths launch unboxing videos of new blades. Tea shops sponsor meditation live streams. A rice merchant starts a cooking channel, demonstrating how to make humble gruel like a samurai. It goes viral because peasants and warriors alike recognize themselves in the steam rising from the bowl. Merch floods the market. Branded headbands, mugs painted with crests, t-shirts declaring Triun's Bushido life. Purists scoff. Peasants wear them anyway. The economy shifts. Honor commodified into cotton and clay. In monasteries, monks wrestle with contradictions. Some embrace the new world, uploading sermons disguised as stories, or chants mixed with flutes that play like ambient tracks. Others resist, declaring that silence cannot be monetized. A famous abbot uploads a 3-hour video of nothing but a bell chiming every 30 minutes. It unexpectedly goes viral among exhausted courtiers who claim it is perfect background noise for editing. The abbot sighs but accepts the donations, using them to rebuild a collapsing roof. God, it seems, does not despise irony. The warrior tries to hold steady. He uploads a video titled simply, "The Bow." It is 3 minutes of him bowing. To the camera, to the sword, to the empty dojo, to a painted scroll of his ancestors. No words, no teaching, just humility given form. It becomes his most shared video. Comments flood in. This saved me from anger. I bowed to my father for the first time in years. I don't know why, but I cried. The warrior reads them, bows again, and feels that maybe he has done something right in the chaos. But the chaos grows. A clan war begins not with steel, but with slander. A daimyo's heir is caught boasting about buying followers. A rival uploads proof. A video of suspicious accounts all posting the same comment. "Great cut, my lord." The scandal erupts. Honor, once restored by ritual or combat, now requires an apology video. The heir kneels in front of his crest, eyes downcast, voice trembling as he says, "I have dishonored my clan. Please like and subscribe to forgiveness." Half the realm laughs. The other half unsubscribes. The war begins with dislikes and ends inevitably with blood. Even duels change. Where once they were sacred encounters in Dawn's Mist, now they are staged for views. A famous match is advertised weeks in advance. Master of the North vs. Demon of the East live. Merch is sold, bets placed, seats reserved. The duel itself is fierce, both men fighting as if the world leans on their blades. Yet the comments distract. Camera 2 missed the strike. Why no slow-mo? Fake, staged. When one combatant falls, gasping, the audience claps not for his skill but for the content. The survivor bows, feels hollow, and wonders whether he fought an enemy or a screen. The shogun watches from his golden hall, weary. He sees his realm bending to algorithms, his samurai sharpening thumbnails instead of blades. He dreams of quieter times when steel sang louder than comments, but he cannot turn back the tide. Power has shifted from crests to channels, from swords to screens. He whispers to his advisors, "Perhaps this is Bushido reborn." One advisor replies, "Perhaps it is Bushido sold." Neither are wrong, and in the villages still, the truest uses bloom. A farmer films the right way to plant rice in dry soil. A midwife uploads breathing exercises for labor. A boy records his grandmother telling a folktale by the fire. 10 views, all from family. 10 hearts, all genuine. No sponsorships, no thumbnails, no scandals. Just legacy, simple and honest. And maybe, just maybe, that is the truest Bushido of all. The red glow spreads deeper into the veins of the empire until every street, temple, and training hall feels like a stage. Fame becomes armor, clout the new currency. Samurai who once carried blades as proof of worth now chase subscriber milestones as if numbers were destiny. Honor is legacy, the old masters whisper. Subscribers are legacy, the young ones reply. And they say it with the certainty of men who believe screens will outlast stone. Dojo entrances display plaques of silver and gold. Not for victories, but for plaques awarded when channels surpass 100,000 or 1 million subscribers. Students bow as they pass beneath these signs as if they were shrines. A master with fewer than 10,000 subscribers is pitied, no matter how sharp his steel. Apprentices weigh their training choices not by lineage or skill, but by view count. Why study with old Crane, a boy asks, when Ironblade Sensei uploads every day? Duels, once sacred dawn rituals, are now packaged as live events with countdown timers and sponsorship banners. Tonight, the battle you've been waiting for. Crowds gather not just in courtyards, but in digital rooms filled with avatars and emojis. Sake brewers bid for product placement on warriors' belts. One swordsman accepts a deal to shout a slogan mid-duel. Cut through thirst with Kikusake. He parries a strike, delivers the line, and the comments explode with both mockery and admiration. The sponsor sells out before dawn. The warrior's honor suffers, but his family eats better than they ever have. He wonders which matters more. Content diversifies until it is unrecognizable. A channel called Samurai Pranks shows young men sneaking up on dozing guards, tying banners to their helmets. Another, Bushido Reacts, features masters watching duels of old and critiquing form with exaggerated faces and edits. "Look at that footwork!" they shout. Disgraceful angle, unsubscribed. Traditionalists groan, but the channels grow fat with views. Meanwhile, one monk creates silent streams, hours of nothing but a candle burning while a bell tolls at intervals. To his surprise, it becomes popular among warriors editing their own fight footage. The monk accepts donations with mild embarrassment, then repairs 3 bridges with the money. Silence, it seems, pays. Scandals multiply faster than bamboo in spring. A famous retainer uploads a day in the life vlog, showing himself polishing armor, practicing cuts, then praying. Viewers notice that his armor is suspiciously clean, his sword never nicked, his prayer unusually short. Rumors of fakery spread. Rival channels upload breakdowns. 10 reasons his life is staged. Dislike raids flood his videos. The retainer, once a model of discipline, releases a tearful apology video. "I have dishonored myself and my lord," he says, bowing so low his forehead bleeds on the mat. The comments split between forgiveness and mockery. His subscriber count drops, then rebounds when a parody channel remixes his apology into a song. The song trends higher than the original vlog. He becomes famous again, but now only as a meme. Politics adapts brutally. Clans no longer rely solely on armies. They fund content battalions. Squadrons of creators who flood platforms with propaganda. One daimyo hires storytellers to create cinematic vlogs about his kindness to peasants. Another edits footage to show rival lords stumbling, blinking, misspeaking. Subscribers become soldiers of influence. When war comes, battles are fought both on muddy fields and in trending tabs. A castle may fall, but if its channel stays popular, its legacy survives, and allies remain loyal. Victory is no longer only measured in bodies or borders, but in views. Ronin sees the moment. Untethered from lords, they pivot to channels of raw honesty. Confessions of the Masterless. Sword and Sorrow. Walking Without Rice. Their unpolished content feels authentic, and audiences love them. One Ronin uploads a tearful monologue about killing for an unworthy lord. It becomes a sensation. He gains more subscribers in a week than some daimyos in a year. Invitations pour in, sponsors beg for partnerships. He declines most, wary of selling what little honor remains. But eventually, hunger gnaws harder than shame, and he accepts an endorsement from a sandal maker. The ad runs before his confession. Even warriors need strong souls. He smiles bitterly, knowing irony cuts sharper than any blade. The Shogun tries to maintain control. He summons his advisors and declares a council of content. Rules are proposed. No monetization of duels to the death. Mandatory truth labels on political videos. A subscriber tax to fund public rice. But enforcement falters. Samurai are quicker with edits than the Shogun's censors. They disguise duels as sparring exhibitions, slander as satire. The Shogun sighs. "I command armies," he murmurs, "but not algorithms." His advisors bow, helpless. Power is slipping from the palace to the platform. Even monks split. Some insist that YouTube is a distraction from enlightenment. A wheel that spins faster than prayer beads but emptier. Others embrace it, uploading sutra recitations and meditations. A monk uploads 8 hours of flowing water for sleep. It gains millions of views, mostly from warriors plagued by guilt who cannot rest. Another monk, scandalized, declares, "You have sold the Dharma to advertisements." The first monk replies calmly, "If peace enters a man through his ears, does it matter if it came with a pre-roll ad?" Merchants feast on this chaos. They sell replica swords, headbands, even fake apology scrolls for those caught in scandals. A calligrapher gains fame forging subscriber plaques in gold leaf for clans who crave legitimacy. He charges double for organic growth, though no one knows what it means. Street stalls advertise, "As seen on YouTube." Rice balls, sandals, incense all claim viral fame. Buyers line up, half believing, half laughing. Money flows faster than honor ever did. The warrior who began it all continues his uploads, but he is weary. He films kata at dawn, his breath fogging in the cold. He bows at the end, as always. But the comments plead for drama. Call out your rivals. React to scandals. Do a collab with Ironblade Sensei. He ignores them, posts another silent video, sweeping the dojo floor. Dust dances in sunlight. He titles it Training Part 2. It trends, not because of skill, but because people argue whether it is genius or laziness. He sighs, sweeps again, and wonders if silence will always be misunderstood. The empire glitters and rots. Subscribers outweigh swords. Fame bends honor. Wars begin in comment sections, end with blood, and are forgotten when a new video trends. The Shogun dreams of stillness, but the platform hums louder each day. The warrior keeps teaching, bowing, sweeping. Some listen, some scroll past. He wonders if history will remember the steel or the screen, the bow or the view count. He sharpens his sword, not for war, but for memory, because memory is the only battle not yet uploaded. The empire creaks beneath the weight of its own reflection. What was once a land of swords and rice fields now resembles a stage with infinite curtains. Even the wind seems edited, the rivers subtitled. The bamboo groves given titles like Relaxing Forest Sounds 10 Hours. Samurai, peasants, monks, all have become creators of some kind, or spectators drowning in the stream. Honor bends until it breaks. The last part of this story begins in silence, then fills with the noise of collapse. Samurai, who once defined themselves by loyalty, now check their dashboards before reporting to their lords. A warrior bows to his daimyo but secretly bows deeper to the red arrow pointing upward. Analytics become prayers. Subscriber milestones are celebrated with feasts larger than victories in battle. In one province, soldiers refuse to march until their commander reaches 100,000 views. The commander films a desperate mukbang, eating rice balls until he vomits. The troops cheer, then march. War has been delayed, but not prevented. Daimyos turn their war councils into production meetings. They argue not about strategy, but about content calendars. "We must upload daily," one insists, slamming a fan on the table. No one remembers a clan that posts weekly. Another demands rebranding. "Our crest is too old-fashioned. The algorithm prefers brighter colors." Generals groan, but their armies obey. Battles are announced with trailers. Coming soon, the siege of Kawanakajima. Merch is sold in advance. Commemorative arrows, mugs with slogans, t-shirts declaring Hanshi victory incoming. When the siege finally begins, half the army is distracted, vlogging their own charge. The enemy counterattacks and routs them. The video gets more views than the battle was worth. The Shogun watches with eyes like worn steel. He issues decrees demanding discipline, but they are drowned by commentary videos dissecting his tone. He appears in a live stream to assert authority. The chat mocks his hairstyle. One clip goes viral, the Shogun blinking slowly, looped endlessly with captions calling him Sleepy Shogun. He commands executions for slander. The channels explode with outrage. His numbers drop. His advisors whisper that even power must pivot to audience demands. He grips his sword, realizing it is sharper than his words, but duller than an edit. In the villages, chaos feels subtler but heavier. Farmers film plowing tutorials while their fields wither from neglect. Mothers sing lullabies into cameras instead of to their children. Children imitate pranks they saw online and break bones that never mend right. A fisherman films himself catching nothing for hours, and it becomes popular because the silence is refreshing. He laughs, then cries, then stops fishing altogether to sit on the dock with his camera. Hunger creeps quietly into bellies that once knew enough. Ronin rise higher than ever, then fall harder. One gains 1 million followers for his brutal honesty, then loses them when he admits to staging one duel for views. His apology video trends, but only as parody fodder. Another becomes a philosopher, posting long, uncut meditations by rivers. His channel dies, but years later, children find his recordings soothing. He does not live to see his quiet legacy. Fame burns quickly, but silence glows longer than fire. Monks fracture like old wood under strain. Some embrace the glow, running meditation channels with millions of subscribers. Others renounce everything, smashing devices and returning to true silence. A schism tears monasteries apart. In one abbey, half the monks chant while the other half film them, each claiming they alone honor the Buddha. The abbot weeps, then posts a video of his weeping. It becomes the most watched sermon in the country. Scandals reach absurd heights. A samurai fakes his own death to drive traffic to a documentary series. His funeral is live-streamed, sponsors included. When he reappears weeks later, smiling, his subscribers double. His lord orders him executed for dishonor, but the shogun stays the blade, fearing backlash. The people love him, he says, and power flows from love now, not from fear. The samurai bows, then uploads a video titled "How I Cheated Death, Full Story." It trends globally, but slowly, the structure cracks. Servers fail during a storm. The red glow fades for a day. Samurai wander aimlessly, swords hanging forgotten at their sides. Children cry, unable to find cartoons. Merch stalls collapse when no one remembers why they wanted mugs. A hush spreads wider than war ever has. Some rediscover fields, temples, neighbors. They plant, they pray, they listen. The quiet feels both terrifying and holy. When the network returns, something has changed. Uploads continue, but less frantically. A boy films his grandmother telling a folktale, and it receives 10 views, all genuine. A monk uploads a bell toll, not as background, but as invitation. A farmer shares how to fix a broken cart. Audiences shrink, but hearts swell. A strange shift occurs. The fewer the views, the truer the legacy feels. The warrior who began it all bows one last time. His channel is vast, his influence enormous, but his spirit thin as worn paper. He uploads a final video, sweeping his dojo at dawn. No music, no words, no edits. Just broom, dust, sunlight. He bows to the camera, then turns it off. Comments pour in, some praising, some mocking, most confused. But among them is one simple line from a boy in a distant province. "I swept today. It felt like peace." The warrior smiles, his honor intact in the smallest way. Centuries later, archaeologists in soft shoes uncover murals of rectangles painted on old wood. They debate whether they are calendars, shrines, or maps of constellations. Some argue they are records of divine battles. Others insist they are agricultural guides. None guess they are traces of an empire obsessed with itself. They carry the relics away, misinterpreted but preserved. Meanwhile, in the soil, peasants' bones rest quietly, never asking for likes. The empire that once forged legacies in steel and rice ended by forging them in views. But the truest stories were not the viral ones. They were the small, unshared moments. The sweep of a broom, the sip of tea, the bow to silence. Bushido survived not in thumbnails or trends, but in the spaces untouched by noise. In the end, legacy was never the arrow pointing forward. It was always the stillness between cuts, the honor of a bow no audience saw.